So your intention is to lose weight. You're pumped up. You want to do it. It fits the mold. You're really ready. You've got the diet, but you're not doing it. So your intention is to feel better. You go to therapy. You've got a stack of books. But when you go to sit down, you just can't pull it open. And so your intention is to get that promotion. You walk up to your boss's door. You go to open it, and you freeze. And you just can't do it. And so you spend your time avoiding. If this sounds like you, I'm with you. I've been there before. And a whole host of our clients have too. My name is Jim.
This is Ennis.
And we're Inner Solutions, a company dedicated to providing mental health resources and things that actually work for you. This video is about, you know what to do, but you're not doing it.
This is a huge, huge obstacle that we all encounter at some point. We have educated ourselves on what we need to do to solve our problem. We even know how to do it and what are the next steps that need to be taken. However, when it comes down to that moment where it's time to take action, it's time to go to the gym or to read that book or to call that person or whatever that action looks like for you, for some reason, you can't do it. You put it off until tomorrow. Or when you do start, you do it for like a minute and then you just stop and you kind of burn out. For whatever reason, you're not able to take that action consistently. You're not able to do it regularly. You might not even be able to start it at all. So what's the situation here, right? You've gotten so close. You've identified the problem. You've identified the solution, how to fix it. You know what to do. You know how to do it, but now what? So we've identified a couple things in ourselves and our clients that regularly shows up for people to block them. And we call these emotional roadblocks. It's not an issue of knowledge. It's not an issue of logistics and resources. You can do it. You have the time to do it. And all of the actions are right there for you to take. But you just can't quite do it because of this emotional block. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe you're rationalizing why it's not the right time. Maybe you feel like if you start, it won't be perfect. There can be so many different emotional blocks. So we're just going to go through some of the most common ones right now, and then we're going to try to give a general strategy of what you can do to alleviate these emotional blocks so that you're taking action finally.
So the first emotional block we want to talk about is identifying that this resistance that you're feeling towards what you know you should do or know how to do, but maybe aren't doing. That resistance that you feel could be a sign that you're actually not doing something that's aligned with your values currently. So what that means is, let's say you're having a really hard time going to your job every morning. It's just a job you're not enjoying, and while you value money, this is your body's way of telling you that this job is weighing on you. Maybe it's really stressful. Maybe it's just not aligned with how you are. Maybe it's not a nurturing environment. So the fact that you have this emotional resistance and these parts of you that are trying to usher you away from the situation means maybe there is some kind of rational danger there that you're not picking up on. And so if you explore that resistance and you explore the situation, you can literally write down, well, what is the situation? What's stressful about it? What are some of the things that I'm scared of? And look at if this situation that you're looking at is aligned with your current values.
So another one that comes up all the time is perfectionism. It's this sense of, if I'm going to do something, it has to be perfect. So then when you end up doing that thing, there's this big expectation around it. There's all this pressure around it. Maybe you are someone who wants to lose weight and you're thinking, well, if I'm going to do an exercise, I need to get, a trainer, or I need to go read some fitness books, or I need to figure out the exact perfect fitness routine for me to do. Or maybe you know what the routine is, but you are, when you do it, you are exhausting yourself, and you're putting so much pressure on yourself to do it perfectly that the next time that you are supposed to do it, you're kind of almost traumatized from the day before, where you're like, wow, I was really judging myself the whole time yesterday, or I was trying so hard to do it perfectly. And I feel like if I do it again today, it's just going to suck. So now I don't even want to do it. Or maybe it's something to do with your creative work. You know, maybe you are trying to create art or music or something that will fulfill your life, or even if that's your career, something that'll advance your career. But when you sit down to do the work, you feel like it has to be this perfect thing. It has to be this unbelievably well-executed project. And so you start to not want to start it. You don't even want to get going on it because of how difficult you already know it's going to be, because of how much you're going to be judging yourself. So that's the other big emotional block, is if you can just let yourself start and know that if you're not doing it perfectly, that's okay. If you're not taking all the right actions and executing 100,000%, it's okay. There's a great principle called the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. 20% of your effort is going to yield 80% of your results. So truly, just the fact that you're showing up to the gym and doing something every other day consistently, that is 80% of the results right there. It really, really is. Even if you're not doing the perfect exercises, even if you're not going all out every time, you're still making progress. And that's really what should be prioritized in that. But so that's one big emotional block, is perfectionism, needing to do it perfectly.
Yeah, and perfectionism is a big cognitive distortion with that all or nothing thinking. If I can't do it all the way or perfectly, then I shouldn't do it at all. And that kind of pressure just it really sets you up for failure. So another place that we want to talk about here is, if you notice that there's things you're avoiding, but you don't have an awareness of why you're doing it. So you know that you should be, in the other room working on some kind of work or doing your taxes or your budget, and every time you think about it, you automatically go to your phone or some sort of avoidance. That means there's just a lack of awareness of what that anxiety is, and a disconnect. So what you can do is do a meditation to become really curious and compassionate about what is the fear or anxiety of the event or of the work or of whatever you're trying to do. How can you get more in touch with your emotional world? And furthermore, if there just seems to be kind of a blank or a block, we know that procrastination is based in anxiety or some kind of depression or self-defeat. We know that it could be all or nothing thinking. There's a lot of room to resolve some of these blocks. And so sometimes you might just need some help. You might need to talk it out with a friend. You might need to write it out in journal. You might need to meditate. You might need to work with a therapist. And so really understanding that if you have the how and you know what to do, but you're not able to follow through, you're really falling through from some of these emotional blocks.
And so by analyzing, what are you afraid of? What is that anxiety? Because as Jim said, so often it really is just some anxiety that's popping up, creating that block, creating that resistance, creating that procrastination. And as we know, anxiety is some future prediction of how something bad might happen. I might have a heart attack, so now I'm freaking myself out, giving myself a panic attack. I might go crazy, lose my mind, so now I'm stressing out about my sanity because I have some weird sensations in my body. I might lose my job, or I might be a failure at this project, or I might embarrass myself, so therefore, why start? These are just general examples. Who knows what your specific thing is? But the point is, do some analysis, do some searching of, what are you so afraid of? What do you think is going to happen if this attempt it goes poorly or goes well? Because when you know what you need to do and you know how to do it, and you're still not starting, that means that you're avoiding the result of it, right? You know that, well, shoot, once I start taking action, I've got to face the results. If they're negative results, I might not like that. If they're positive results, I might not like that. Maybe the positive results come with more responsibility. Maybe they come with losing some of the things that you love to do, like because you have less time or something. So the point is, this result that you are avoiding from the actions that you take, you have to get clear on what is so scary about it. What is the the part of you that is resisting that. Because when you are moving towards a result, the conscious part of you, the every day-to-day part of you might really want that. You know, somebody says, hey, do you want a big promotion at work? Yeah, I do want that. Well, maybe another part of you doesn't. Maybe the responsibility is a bit scary. Maybe the time commitment is not what you want at all. Even though the money or the status might be very alluring at a conscious level, there might be other things on a subconscious level that are totally not alluring at all. So that's an important thing to look at as you're getting clear on your emotional blocks. So we've kind of pointed out a couple basic ones, like with the perfectionism and not actually being in alignment with doing that thing. So the conscious part of you might want to do it, but a subconscious part does not. You might just have a fear of something bad happening as a result. Sometimes people, they want to skydive. They want to go do some sort of big ritual with their friends. And if it seems like it's going to be terrifying in the moment, then just the thought of doing it can be really scary. So what are some other emotional blocks that you've seen in people?
I think one of the bigger things, just a universal theme, is there's an inner conflict here, right? There's two parts of you. There's one that wants to achieve the thing and another that may be a fear or maybe doesn't want to achieve the thing in the case of not aligned with the values. And the common theme here is raising awareness, emotional awareness in yourself, to really be in touch with what's going on and to try to sort of align these different parts of you, these different thought patterns, so that you can make a decision. So when we talk about alleviating the pressure, or we talk about decatastrophizing the perfectionism so that you move in, it's going to take some kind of self-coaching or external coaching to help these conflicting parts of you move in a direction and not be stuck in this kind of purgatorial state. I can remember that in our early days of the company, when we were making our first video, you told me, hey, we're making version 1 right now. When I wanted everything to be perfect and really polished and we didn't have the resources for it, you said, let's put this out and then we'll revise it and make it better. And that was sort of a revelation for me, where it's like you miss, I forget what the saying is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I don't know why I did a baseball instead of a basketball, but that's fine. So I think the biggest one is just being able to take a baby step, take one little step forward so you get a little closer, to break that thought pattern, break that energy, to carve out the time, to have a plan, to reflect on the plan, to just do your version 1, take your next step. And then I have this saying I say with clients, which is you plan, you execute, you reflect, and you repeat, which is like you plan what you're going to do, you do the execution, you reflect on how did it go, and you revise, and then you repeat the process. And that's a continuous process.
I think a lot of people don't do the reflect part, where
Right.
I had a habit that I was trying to do in the morning. Every morning I was like trying to do a workout routine, and I kept not doing it. And I was wondering, like, what is going on? Why can't I do it? And once I started to actually reflect, I realized maybe it's the morning, and so I shifted to the evening. And it was the same general plan, it's pretty much the same exact execution. It was just the time of day was a little different. And that little adjustment made a lot of difference, and it helped the habit stick more. So if I hadn't reflected on what was going wrong, why can't I do this? I would have never actually adjusted. I would have never tried something different. And so that's a big thing, that when it comes to, like, if you're having a hard time doing something, can you do it but in a slightly different way? Could you do it in a different time? Could you do it with people? Could you do it with less pressure? Maybe do half of the routine instead of all of it. There's so many things that you can micro adjust, where it's not always, do it or not do it. It's like there's a million ways to do something, and some of those might not work for you, and some of those might work for you. It just depends.
I think too, where a lot of people get caught up is it begins a feedback loop when you're not able to follow through. And so the key to breaking a feedback loop is just noticing the thoughts or some of the stuff that's going by, but really just developing the resilience to be like, hey, I didn't do it this morning. Let me hop back on the horse.
Yes.
There's going to be those roadblocks, and there's going to be those times where you don't follow through. And if you end up getting caught in a feedback loop where it gets, self-shame turns into even more avoidance, which turns into even not more doing it, and then it just builds on itself.
Yes.
Just trying to cut that feedback loop and say, back at it tomorrow. Or like you're saying, let me revise. Let me try something different. Let me get a little more support.
It's like that attempt at it. You try it again. I remember I had to try to quit cigarettes a dozen times. And then there's a great Matt Develop where he says one day one became like, sorry, how did it go? He goes, one day he was trying to get to the gym and he would go to the gym and quit, go to the gym and quit.
Yeah.
Just like with the cigarettes. And then one day became day one.
Yeah.
And you look back on it, and it's like, oh, wow, that one actually stuck.
Yeah.
And I actually did quit that one time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with whatever you're trying to do, whether it's have that difficult conversation where you pull out your phone, you're about to call the person to talk to them, and then you don't. Well, keep pulling out the phone at least. Keep getting yourself close to that opportunity so that at some point you do take this shot. You take that action. It's really about, I guess at that point, it's like not giving up, as cliche as that sounds. As an example, when I go to the store, I buy spinach, and sometimes I don't eat it. And it's like the most embarrassing thing to open your fridge, and it's like a bunch of spinach that's gone bad. It's like, I went to waste, all that. And so the next time at the store, it's easy to be like, oh, I shouldn't buy it. It'll go to waste.
Right.
No, get it again. And just
buy the spinach, guys. Always just keep buying the spinach, because someday you'll eat that spinach and you'll feel better.
It's kind of like you're not giving up on yourself to say like, okay, fine, you didn't do it the last time or the time before that. And yeah, you tried to quit, but you came back to it. Whatever it is, however your version of falling off the wagon looks like, keep going, like keep making that attempt. And so eventually, but just don't do it the exact same way, right? It's like when I bought the spinach, I wouldn't just come back and do the exact same thing. I would, okay, putting it in this part of the fridge didn't work. Let me put it in a more, visible part of the fridge. I adjusted so that I had a better shot at it. I kind of learned like what happened last time. Like, oh, I didn't see it in the fridge, and so I forgot about it. And then later it was like I just wasn't setting aside time for it. I didn't have it like a little note on the fridge, or I didn't have a note on the calendar like when to eat it. So it's just like little things that you can adjust as you go on to increase your odds of doing it. And this is a different part of it. We've kind of blended now our perspectives. The beginning of the video is all about emotional blocks, identifying the emotional blocks and seeing like what is getting in your way. And then from there, it's just trying and logistics and just different things that are setting you up for success, basically. And sometimes it's really small things, like if you are constantly eating something that you shouldn't be eating, it's really all about, okay, let's stop buying that thing, for example. Maybe it's that simple. If you can just make it to where during the week when you go to the store, you only have to make that decision once. It's like, okay, I'm at the store, I'm choosing not to buy the thing, so now I won't have access to it all week. I did that with coffee recently. It's like I kept reaching for it, and at some point I was like, why do I even have this in my house? I had it for like, the idea of like, oh, if people come over and need it, I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to have it. I don't have coffee in my house. There. And now if I'm out somewhere, I might still get it or whatever. If I'm at someone's house, I might fall for that. But at least when I'm at home and I wake up in the morning and I open the cabinet, it's not there. It's just kind of making it easier.
But raising the awareness of those emotional blocks or those emotional ties to the behavior that you're trying to break is really the foundation. And so just to reiterate, so ways to raise that awareness can be through journaling, can be through meditation, can be through external processing with a friend, or can be through diving into a deeper journey with a coach or a therapist to really get to the bottom and understand what it is about the coffee or the spinach or the diet that you're not able to follow through for, because there is a big inner conflict in there. And so aligning that inner conflict in these parts of you to help them move in a unified direction. Yeah. And a lot of times that looks like easing the anxiety of one part so it allows you to move forward in the direction that you want to go. Mm-hmm. And so the most foundational thing, and this is what we preach all the time, is no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, you're never stuck. You might just need some support. You might need to revamp your system. You might need to plan, execute, reflect, and repeat the process over and over again. So for Ennis, I'm Jim. Please like and subscribe the video and follow our YouTube content. We're also on Facebook. If you have any questions, you can email us. You can comment below. We look at all the comments. We'll answer any questions. And if you have ideas for videos that you want, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much. Remember, good mental health.